the most spectacular sweetener that there is on the market. I'm also a nutritional therapist. The name of this broadcast is SARE Nutritional Therapy. If you like this kind of content, go ahead, give us a thumbs up. Follow us on all of our social media channels. That would be SAIRNT on Facebook, as well as SAIRNT here on the HAPS app. And it is Some Sweet Foods on Instagram and Some Sweet Foods on Twitter. So, yes, thank you for joining me today. So, I know that maybe some of the promos have went out, and the promos went out, and we were supposed to have a guest today, but there were some scheduling issues, or she missed some material, and she wanted to reschedule. So we just went ahead and rescheduled her. She wasn't ready to come on today. So with that being said, I'm going to continue on, and we'll be waiting patiently for her to come on to the broadcast. But there was I was looking this week at some different I get all these little feeds and things like that, and I saw this one feed, and I wanted to bring it to you guys. It was talking about some of the most dangerous foods that there are out there that we don't even know about. But instead of doing that, I thought I would talk about, can you train your brain to like healthy foods? I mean, because I'm like, can you train your brain? And and just being like really, really honest, I had some sugar cravings today. Well, not really sugar cravings. It didn't necessarily want sugar, but just sweets. It's like I wanted something a little sweet. Now that might be because this past week, over the weekend, I wanted pancakes. Now I can't make pancakes, not a good pancake maker. I don't do very well with that. And I love pecan pancakes. And there's this restaurant here, and they make good pecan pancakes. And so I went there to get those pancakes, to get that, breakfast for dinner type of thing. And I asked them if they had a sugar-free maple syrup, which they did. And so I got that sugar-free maple syrup, used that on the pancakes. It had absolutely zero taste. Wasn't very, very good at all. It had zero taste. It didn't really add anything, as far as there's a flavor that you expect when you have your pancakes or so on. So your butter, the flour, the floury mix, the pancakey, and then the flavor of the syrup. And it didn't it didn't add any flavor at all. And so I had that, and it really didn't hit the spot of what I had a taste for. So I guess this week I'm still kind of having that feeling of still wanting that kind of, get that effect or whatever. So, but I thought we'd talk about today, can you train your brain to like healthy foods? Can you train your brain? Because for me, oh yeah, and I forgot, I can't split these screens here. So I'm going to be looking away, looking at my notes. But for me, I found that when I cut out sugar, when I completely quit eating sugar, and I haven't had sugar in a while, right? So I use Some Sweet as my substitute. And that made me think, quite honestly, when I got that maple syrup that tasted like nothing, it wasn't sweet at all, and it didn't have any flavor, if that makes sense. It didn't, like it wasn't mapley or anything. So that made me think that, maybe we should make a syrup that is, for pancakes, a pancake syrup. So that's Mom. So that made me think that maybe I should make a pancake syrup. So I think I'm gonna look into that and see about making a pancake syrup. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Maybe one that would actually taste the way that I want it to taste in order for it to, kind of satisfy that particular taste bud. That particular. But can you train your brain to like healthy foods? So let's jump on into that here. So I personally love a salad, and I have. Let me see. I had one of my. I had a picture of my salad bowl, and but now I can't. I don't think I can actually share it here on the on this thing because I'm not able to share. But let me see if I can bring it up and just get the picture. Because I personally absolutely love salad. I love salad. And I have this huge salad bowl, and I said that I was going to share that with you all before, about the salad bowl. And I have a picture here of the bowl. But see, it's on my phone, so I don't know if you're going to be able to if it'll pick this up. Let's see. That's my salad bowl. You see? And that's a large bowl, and it's filled with salad. So, but I absolutely love salad. And in fact, I crave it. A lot of times I crave it. I want salad. And when I haven't had it, I miss it. And it's like, oh, I want salad. I want salad. So, but have you ever struggled with, with that kind of thing with like, because I'm a recovering addict from sugar, have you struggled with addictions to unhealthy, tasty foods? Have you struggled with that? Because I have. Because even now, I've given two examples. Well, I mean, I don't think that having a taste for pancakes is like that is like necessarily an addiction, but it is a tasty food, and I've tasted it before, and I wanted to taste it again. And if you have, you know the feeling. You just want more and more and more. You shouldn't have it. Like if I eat certain things that I eat, like I'll have to run the gamut and eat it all, eat it as much as I can, or not as much as I can, but just like eat it for, like every day, every day, every day. When like when this is gone, I'm not eating any more. Right. So have you had that? You know, um, but that's because like I had addiction to sugar and then addictions to carbs and things like that. So if you have a fear of that, and or if you have that and you feel like it's impossible to stop, it is not. It is not. You have to just kind of take a step back and get started with trying to do that. So, because just because you developed a liking for something that's unhealthy, it doesn't mean that you're doomed to a lifetime of temptation and craving. That's why when you develop, but with the exception of the sugar addiction, and the reason why is you're not doomed to a lifetime of being hooked on the sugar. But what we are sort of doomed to is a lifetime because of because we have so many prepared foods out in the market, is reading the back of those ingredient labels and finding the sugar in there, and then deciding I'm not going to go down that path. I'm not going to eat that food. Right. So that's what we're doomed to now because they put sugar in everything. Right. So, but you can beat the cravings, but kind of you have to work within the confounds of giving your brain a pathway off of that, which is what Some Sweet did for me, and working around it, right? So you can train your brain to like healthy foods, and you can reverse addictions to unhealthy foods, because that's what I've done. And I use the methadone approach. Yesterday, we had Denise Wester on, and she was addicted to sugar as well. And it took her 30 days, she said, to kick the sugar. But she did say that she does still have some cheat days. So, but she also was able to reverse her type 2 diabetes. Oh, and just a reminder, this is November is National Diabetes Awareness Month. So I just want to make you aware of that. If you don't know your risk for type 2 diabetes, or even as a pre-diabetic, you can go over to the American Diabetes Association. They do have a quiz over there that you can take to find out your risk. So I would admonish you all to do that. Okay, so you can train your brain to unlearn, to reverse that cycle. So you can unlearn liking unhealthy foods and train your brain to like healthy foods. Now, sometimes some people just dislike the taste of some healthy foods because they're not sweet. Some of them are not sweet. But when you remove sugar from your palate on a regular basis, and you kick a sugar addiction, then you're retraining your brain, you're retraining your palate as well, and then you start to taste the flavors and the sweetness that exists, even if it's very subtle, even in healthy foods. So, a group of researchers at Harvard and Tufts University used to believe that overweight and obese people are destined to a lifetime of unhealthy food cravings and temptations. They thought that it is nearly impossible to change anyone's preference, especially once we become addicted to unhealthy food choices like snack foods, candy, sweet desserts, fast food, cakes, biscuits, or cookies, and sugary carbonated beverages. While research shows that natural unprocessed foods are great for health, not all of us actually eat like that on a regular basis. So this professor, who is a senior author of a study conducted by those same researchers at Harvard Medical School and Tufts University, this is what she said. We don't start out in life loving French fries and hating, for example, whole wheat pasta. Now, listen, a French fry is going to come up in nature, honestly, because a potato is going to come in nature, right? And it's how you prepare that potato. You cut it up and you fry it, right? That's closer to nature than whole wheat pasta, because a whole wheat pasta goes through several more steps, because French fries just go from cut up to cooking, right? Whole wheat pasta goes from they have to dehusk the wheat or grind the wheat, take off the husk, and so on, and then add it to whatever, grind it, make whatever, add it to with flour, however they make pasta. So it takes a few more steps. So not a very good example in my part anyway. But it says we don't start out in life loving French fries and hating, for example, whole wheat pasta. This conditioning happens over time in response to eating repeatedly what is out there in the toxic food environment. So I would agree with that, right? But whole wheat pasta, I mean, if she would have just said, well, I don't know, you're going to be something closer to what a French fry is to what pasta is. Between the two, they're kind of, yeah. But anyway, Roberts and her colleagues did a small study which involved examining the brain's reward circuits in 13 overweight and obese men and women. Their goal was to determine if the brain can be retrained to support healthy food choices. So the focus of this pilot study was centered around not allowing the participants to become hungry, as this is when cravings for unhealthy foods take over and the act of caving in materializes. So that's a good bit of information for us here, is not allowing the participants to become hungry, as this is when the cravings for unhealthy foods take over. So that's good for you to know. That's good for all of us to know. So don't let yourself get too hungry, because that's when the cravings are going to kick in. And then we'll usually, we'll go for that. So if you are fasting or you're doing something like that, you would want to have already prepared the food that you would want to eat, and so that when the craving kicks in, or the hunger is like, I want something to eat, I want something to eat, I want something to eat, that's already prepared, and you go for that instead of the unhealthy thing. And if you don't have the unhealthy thing in your home at all, in your pantry at all, and all you have is the healthy food, that's what you're going to grab. That's what you're going to get. Once hunger is satiated, then the cravings should go away. But so on with the study, it says they achieve this by primarily prescribing a low-calorie diet containing foods that promote satiety. Well, just what I just said, including healthy proteins and high fiber, low glycemic fruits and vegetables. So MRI scans of the brain, both at the start and the finish of the 6-month period, showed positive changes in the brain's reward centers. In particular, those associated with learning and addiction. So how was this done? It was found that healthy, low-calorie foods produce a stronger reaction in the brain's reward system. Yay! That's great news. That is great news for us. So healthy, low-calorie foods produced a stronger reaction in the brain's reward system. That's great news. Did you hear that? So if your brain reacts more positively and stronger to that, especially the reward system, which is what causes like the sugar addictions and any other addiction, if it reacts more positively to that, then absolutely this is great news. This is great news. So translation: the study participants experienced a heightened reward, more pleasure and enjoyment from healthier food cues. Even more surprising, their brains didn't actively respond to the high calorie, unhealthy foods. So this is like showing a complete reversal. So they're eating healthy, right? So they're eating healthy and they're getting more pleasure and enjoyment from that, and less pleasure and enjoyment from the unhealthy foods. This is great. But can we really be happy eating vegetables? Absolutely, we can. We can. Many people, in particular, those who acquired a taste for unhealthy foods, associate eating vegetables with poor mood and low mental well-being. It's not true. But in other words, the prospect of changing their diets and eating vegetables depresses them. And that's just the thought of it. So right. So when you're thinking about it, oh, all I'm not gonna be able to eat my cake, cookies, pies, and that's why people can't quit, because that's what they're thinking. I'm not going to be able to do this. I have to give this up. Oh man. So you're kind of setting yourself up for failure when you think of it like that. But here's some interesting new research that can turn their fear around. Research conducted at the University of Warwick Medical School involving 14,000 participants in England, age 16 and over, found that those who ate 5 or more portions of fruit and vegetables a day were the happiest. Wow, that's great news. When the researchers further analyzed the data, they discovered that the reverse was also true. The lower a person's fruit and vegetable intake, the higher their chance of having low mental well-being. Wow. So the research paper's lead author, who was positively surprised, said these novel findings suggest that fruit and vegetable intake may play a potential role as a driver, not just of physical, but also of mental well-being in the general population. Simply put, increasing your intake of vegetables means more than just losing weight or preventing heart disease and cancer. It can enhance your mental well being and put you in a state in which you feel good, more optimistic, and function better. So, and the World Health Organization defines it as a mental well-being. Mental well-being is a state in which every individual realizes his or her own potential, can cope with the normal stresses of life, and can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. So the studies have also shown that solid mental well-being makes you more resilient to stress and offers protection against physical disease. So it just gets better and better, right? It's all connected. We were talking about that yesterday with Denise Wester. She was saying how she's lived the best life. She kicked sugar, um, because she was addicted to sugar, even though she had lived a vegan and or vegetarian lifestyle. She was eating vegetables all day, doing spin classes, but she was having her cakes, cookies, pies, candies. Chocolate was her favorite, and she was saying that she still ended up with diabetes from that. And her body, that even though she was addicted to sugar, and then her body was just taking those fruits and vegetables and turning them into to carbs, which is what it does, and it's what it's supposed to do for energy. However, if you have already had metabolic syndrome, metabolic issues, if you are insulin resistant because you've consumed so much sugar and you put your body in that state, then when it's doing that, it's adversely affecting you, even though you're eating healthy. So you have to bring yourself back into balance by completely cutting out the sugar and bring yourself back into balance to being insulin sensitive. And then when you're insulin sensitive, your body can react normally, react the right way, and utilize the fruits and vegetables the way that it should. So, but you have to get yourself back into balance. But, and this is great news because these things are all connected. So let's talk about retraining your brain around food. Food addiction and cravings are not a perpetual condemnation. Through consistent repetition over a period of time, your brain will eventually feel more pleasure from healthier foods, and its reward centers will respond and act will respond as actively to um, unhealthy food cues. Or will not respond as actively to unhealthy food cues. So basically, just over a period of time, eat more vegetables. Don't stop. It's like, it's hard, but eventually your body's going to respond positively to that. So we've also learned that an increased intake in vegetables is associated with good mood and mental well-being. So if you're struggling to add more vegetables into your diet, try a new recipe and food combinations, try different things. Yesterday we had a suggestion that came to us to go to when you go to the grocery store, challenge yourself to pick up a new um, fruit or vegetable, to try something new. My heater's kicking on. Just try something new, right? And see if you like it, and that way make a game out of it, something fun, right? So here's another let's see. And if you let's see. So there's another resource here which I'm going to click into, because we need to find out ways to make ourselves happy, and all of this is connected. It is all connected. So I'm waiting for that page to come up. So it's all connected. So you want to just take the time to retrain your brain. It's not going to happen overnight, but it will happen, right? But this is great news. You become more resilient to stress. That's going to bring protection against diseases because it's going to keep My computer screen is freezing, so I hope you all are there because I absolutely cannot tell because it is frozen. Everything is frozen. So yeah, but over time, everything will get better. The reward centers in your brain are going to be on supercharge. It will love the healthy foods more and the unhealthy foods less. Okay, I can see. Yeah, it just popped back into my screen here, so I can see that I am still here. And so let's talk about if you're just a little bit about the relationship between just weight loss and happiness. Just want to throw this out there because that happiness that we were talking about when the reward centers in your brain are reacting positively to the because when you start out it's like, oh God, I gotta eat vegetables. And if you were the type of kid that absolutely hated vegetables and you didn't like them, you might be the same type of adult that really doesn't care for, vegetables aside from potatoes, which you really potatoes aren't the only vegetable that you can eat, I was looking at someone's plate, and this was a healthy plate, and this person is working on losing weight, and it was a plate, it was filled with vegetables, but it had some fried chicken on the plate. And I'm not knocking fried chicken, but I'm just describing the plate to you. So it had green beans, it had carrots, it had the mixed vegetables that had the potatoes, the carrots, I think it has green beans and corn in there, then it had corn on the plate and peas on the plate, I believe. Green peas, like English peas. And I think they had some bread. I'm trying to remember the plate. And I remember when I looked at the plate, I thought, wow, there's a lot of carbs on that plate, even though they were complex carbs. But again, depending on where you are in your, with your body, that's a lot of carbs, even as complex carbs. And they were more of the high glycemic type complex carbs because they have a lot of starch in them. Corn, it has a lot of starch in it, as you know, like that. The English peas, very high, very lots of starch. The carrots are very starchy. Um, I would say to eliminate that and add more leafy greens, or more greens like the green beans, and add more of those, and protein packed vegetables as well, because it was just a lot. When I looked at that plate, I was like, wow, that's really a lot of carbs. I wouldn't eat all of those things in combination like that because they're really very high carbs. um, Even though they're complex, I just wouldn't eat them like that, and that's what I thought about. But anyway, so that I was saying that because a lot of times the thought of us eating a lot of vegetables, um, we for things like that, right? So when we're going to switch to vegetables, we go for those vegetables that are like that. Carrots have a lot of sugar in them. They are sweet. They're very starchy. They're sweet. Corn has a lot of sugar in it. It's very starchy and it's sweet. Potatoes as well, very starchy. Those are all. And again, if you don't know about how to make your foods to be resistant with resistant starch, you're going to just be cooking and eating it just fresh like that. So that's why I'm saying that. A lot of times that's what we're going to do. When we're making this switch from maybe coming out of the sugary or thinking about giving up those things, we'll gravitate to those things, which are direct replacements. And probably 9 times out of 10, we're going to already be insulin resistant. So switching over to those type of foods and eating those type of high carbohydrate vegetables, it's not going to be the best thing for us. So you would want to switch to more low carbohydrate vegetables instead of high carbohydrate vegetables. So that's what I was saying about that. So mentally, You can prepare yourself for coming out of that. So you want to do a lot of leafy greens, salads, spinach, kale, things like that, fruits and veggies like that. Maybe the green beans, they're not as high on the glycemic index. They're not as high on the starch level. No potatoes, no carrots, no corn. Stay away from those. You can bring those back later once you're insulin sensitive. But when you're still insulin resistant, you want to stay away from those high starch vegetables. That makes sense. Does that make sense? And go in with your greens, your spinach, your kale, your cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, things like that. The low carb vegetables, right? You can throw your vegetable, quote unquote, vegetable fruit, like tomatoes. You can add some of that. Mushrooms, olives. I'm trying to think of the different things that you can do. Those are the things that you can kind of add, but stay away from the high starch ones while you're doing this transition. And so that's what I would say to, instead of, because our automatic go-to coming off of something like that is going to be those things, because they are more appealing to our body as keeping it in that state of insulin resistant that we're already in, that pattern, right? Right. All right. Does this make sense? So get ready for a happy feeling. Get ready for being overjoyed and your body doing fantastic, because you're going to switch. You're going to make the switch from the sugar addicted stuff and from the addicted foods, and you're going to make the switch to eating vegetables, and it's going to do your body a world of good. I know. Yeah. So that was great news. You can train your brain to like healthy foods, and it will like it more than it does the sugar. All right. Fantastic. Well, it's been a pleasure chatting with you all today. I just want to thank you, and follow me on all of my social medias. Oh, YouTube at SAIRNT. That's Sayre Nutritional Therapy. Stands for Sugar Addiction is Real. Follow me on YouTube. This is going to be posted up on YouTube, also on Facebook at SAIRNT, Sayre Nutritional Therapy. You can also find, I am streaming live to Instagram at Some Sweet Foods and on Twitter at Some Sweet Foods. So you can find me there. Those are my social medias. You can also, this is going to be an audio, and you can catch this on all of the podcast stations. All right. Again, I'm Teresa T.L. Matthew. It's been a pleasure being here with you today. Thank you so much for joining me. Also, if you subscribe on YouTube and then like the content, and then you'll know whenever I go live or upload a video. Okay. It's been a pleasure. Been wonderful. Thank you so much. Until next time, peace and blessings.